All right, Ike. Well, in the news, I wasn't really tapped in on this. I know you've been, brought in as a consultant on the Felicity Ace cargo ship, which is a very sad story.
For those of you that don't know, I'm an expert at maritime salvage law, and so frequently I do a lot of consulting work in that arena.
Yeah, now, it's a hobby. Again, a hobby that became more.
It is. It absolutely is. And there was a cargo ship that was carrying a lot of luxury automobiles, the Felicity Ace, which some of you might have seen, caught fire and burned for many days, and then sank off the coast of the Azores near Portugal. And a lot of luxury cars were lost, new ones and some classics, but mostly new ones, Bentleys and Lamborghinis and so forth. But among those was what's been called a bespoke 1977 Series 3 Santana. And that is now resting some distance under the surface of the ocean off the coast of the Azores. So for those who are, want a bargain restoration project, I think that one's available.
I think you just probably dive down there, balloon it back up, and you're good to go. Bring it up in pieces, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. I think that that is probably the cheapest Land Rover project you'll find currently available.
Yeah. And probably not the only Santana at the bottom of the ocean. Let's be honest. I mean, I think
isn't that where they all belong?
That's sort of where they all end up eventually. Someone just pushes them off of a ferry or something. But yeah, what an insane thing! Like, I mean, the Series 3, I'm sure was worth a bit of money, but like the number of like Lamborghinis and Bentleys and things, it's just, I mean, it's insane. They had to restart. I read some. I'm not super familiar with like with Lamborghinis, but apparently there was some run of Lamborghinis where they'd stopped. They were done. They weren't making any more of that particular car. They were all on that cargo ship, and it of course sunk. And now they've had to restart production of that car because like there was a significant number of people who didn't get their ultra expensive custom whatever Lamborghini.
Yeah. I think there was nearly 100 Lamborghinis on this ship that were lost. 170 Porsches, I think, somewhere in that realm, and then maybe 150 Bentleys, and then a bunch of Audis and Volkswagens and stuff that were mid-tier type of cars, and then a lone Series 3 Santana. Was unfortunate enough. That poor person who paid to have that restored waited probably a year to have it done, and then they're like, "Oh, it's on the boat, it's ready to go," and then they read in the newspaper, maybe it's like the boat catches on fire and it burns for like a while, so they're like, well, maybe it's okay. Then the boat sinks.
The boat sinks. It was almost like they were trying to exercise a demon out of one of those cars. Like first burn it for 3 days, and then sink it to the bottom of the ocean.
You're gonna find out that the Land Rover was the cause of the fire. If there's an investigation, that's gonna be
it's only
result.
a matter of time. Yeah,
it's only a matter of time.
Oh no, the Santana caught fire.
There's like a mob of exotic automobile enthusiasts who've got the torches and pitchforks out for that poor old Land Rover that burned all those things down.
I mean, the chances of it being the Land Rover's fault almost incalculable. It's 100%. It's 100%. Yeah, that's definitely what it was. Well, I mean, there you go. A bespoke Land Rover. That's my least favorite word.
Fortunately, I think it was just a loss of property. Nobody was injured or hurt in the sinking of the ship. So it's an environmental disaster, and that's unfortunate. But
now you'll have an artificial Lamborghini reef down there and go scuba diving. Maybe
it's just all encrusted with corals and filled with little seahorses and octopus and stuff.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. It's going to be so great. Speaking of great maritime events, we have our friend Conrad from the extraordinarily famous Island Rovers brand, Instagram accounts, YouTube channels. He's got all kinds of stuff going on here as a guest today. Highly
Land Rover
coveted,
media mogul.
He really is. I mean, he is. He is the he is the king of all Land Rover media. So we're really super happy to be chatting with Conrad. So let's I guess dump some English Channel saltwater in the old interview machine. Rev that up, and we'll get Conrad on the show.
All right, let's hear it.
All right. Well, we have with us Conrad from the iconic Island Rovers, obviously on the socials, Instagram, maybe. I don't know if you'd say you're most popular, Conrad, but certainly the place that we love to follow you. Yeah.
Hi, Stephen. Hello, Mike. How are you today?
Hello. Glad you could join us.
It's been a pleasure.
So, as I was saying, the Instagram account, I think that's probably where, I don't know that a lot of people know you from, but certainly I think a fair number, a very popular one of the holy trinity of Land Rover Instagram accounts. So you have to guess what the other two are, I guess. But yeah, there you go. But what so what inspired you to take your very eclectic collection, which we're going to talk about immediately next, and share it with the world in such a whimsical Instagram account?
Do you know what? It was a hobby to start with collecting cars, and I actually started Instagram with an account for I've got a VW Westphalia, out of California. It's a nice old 1967 bus. Mm-hmm. And I started an account with that, and it wasn't particularly popular. And one day I sort of took a photo of it with some Land Rovers, because I had Land Rovers at the same time.
Yeah.
And that post got lots of feedback. So I thought, I should start an account with some Land Rovers instead, which is what I did. And very quickly the VW one sort of fell by the wayside. And that's how it started.
Yeah, but you still drive the Westphalia all the time. It pops up in your frequently. It's a neat car.
Still there now and again.
Yeah.
And then, as I think I had sort of 2 or 3 Land Rovers at the time, and obviously the enthusiasm that gets generated on the account has encouraged me to expand the collection.
So that's a great segue into what currently is in the Island Rovers stable of Land Rover.
It's a good question. I had a think before you started up this afternoon, and I think I've got 8 at the moment. And in age order, I've got sort of three series ones. So the series 1, which is a 1951. Sort of classic.
It's the same year. That's my favorite. That's the same year.
80-inch one, which is sort of most people's favorite. And then the Series 3, and the Air Portable Series 3 as well, which I'm restoring at the moment. And then 4 Defenders. So I've got a 200 TDI, a V8, a TD5, which is being rebuilt at the moment, and the Puma, which is obviously the later model that we get over here, which is a 110, and then a Range Rover, a sort of an L322 Range Rover. So enough to keep me busy.
Yeah, that spans the the gamut of all the important models.
No discoveries though, hey?
Are there ones that you?
No, I quite like the look of the 3. My brother's got a V8 3. And he bought that in America actually, and sort of liked it so much that he shipped it back over here.
Okay, all right. And no Freelanders of any kind.
Used to have a Freelander. A V6 Freelander. I've had sort of various other ones in the past as well, from the different Range Rovers. A classic one and P38, and sort of several other series as well.
And you mentioned before the show that you were working on your lightweight. Tell us about that project.
So the lightweight project I picked up later last year, and they're quite rare, I think. Over here.
I had a lightweight for a little while, and they're a quirky little car. They're great.
Yeah, and I never really, to be honest, they weren't really on my radar. And when this one cropped up, it had a galvanized chassis and a galvanized bulkhead, and whilst sort of lots of other bits of it are a bit crusty, I thought it was worth what they were asking just for the fact that it had those major galvanized components.
And you found that there in Jersey, or on the island?
This was in a field in Jersey.
Oh, wow!
The guy who had it had moved to Spain, had been unable to import it into Spain, so he sort of left it festering.
Oh, interesting.
It needed saving. I felt sorry for it.
And those who are not familiar with your physical location, we're talking about the island of Jersey, not New Jersey, Old Jersey, if you will, not New Jersey here in the United States.
It's Old Jersey to New Jersey, like Old York is to New York, I suppose.
Right.
And we're a little island just off the coast of France, and we're part of the British Isles. We're only 9 by 5 miles. Big, so what's that, about 40 square miles?
Yeah, not a lot. Yeah.
The speed limits over here are sort of 30 miles an hour, which is great for slow Land Rovers.
It's perfect. It's like a Series 1 heaven. There's you can't get too far away from the shop, and you don't need to go too fast.
Just as you reach the limit of the Series 1's sort of power, where we're at the speed limit, which is great. But obviously, it's a very small island in the middle of the English Channel, so our main problem, we forego on adventures into the wilderness and sort of trails like you probably have out there. Our problem, our adventure is with rust. Most Land Rovers on the island, unfortunately, suffer.
Steve and I have a solution to this problem. You can come visit us, and we have no rust and plenty of wilderness.
Yeah, you're welcome to come anytime. Yeah, anytime.
I would love to come and visit you guys.
You can even go from my wilderness to Ike's wilderness without ever encountering anything that could rust your car.
That's true.
It's great.
The times that I go across to England, I really like sort of going places where you can get the land wet, because fresh water's sort of in abundance in the UK. We don't have any rivers over here.
Right.
If you want to get wet, people drive them in the sea, and that's sort of the end of it.
Yeah.
So the TD5 that I'm building at the moment, or rebuilding, I should say, the sort of concept behind that is to make an island-proof defender. So it's all galvanized.
Classic story, man against the elements.
And I think there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of builders seem to be doing this at the moment. Actually, I've noticed. And, I think it's the way to go, because you see, over the last couple of years, you've seen a lot of these companies building fantastic cars, quite often labelled beach runners or ready for the beach and stuff.
Right.
But they're quite often made of sort of the Land Rover components, which dissolve as soon as you take them onto the sand.
That's exactly right.
So yeah, on this particular one, we've gone to town on it, really, to try and galvanize as many components as we can. Use the marine grade stainless and make it last. Yeah.
Well, I think that's, with their, obviously there's no short supply of classic Defenders, but there will be if people don't give some thought to sort of, when they do these restorations, making them a lot more weatherproof at all, maybe is a better way to put it. Just implying that to make them more weatherproof is that they were at all weatherproof before, which I don't think.
I don't think they were, Stephen. I think I can't remember what the year was when they stopped coming out to you. Probably,
97 basically. The last one.
The vehicles that were produced in the UK after that date and into the early 2000s were renowned for sort of rusting as soon as they came out of the factory. The rear cross members were invariably shot in a year or so. So they really skimped.
And we've talked about that in the past, where the Series 1 and the sheer number of galvanized parts that came on it from the factory, aluminum and galvanized parts, to the final generation of TDCI Defenders, It was a major difference in corrosion protection.
The galvanizing on the Series 1s was amazing. You know,
the doors are always really good.
The cappings and screen on mine is fantastically thick.
Yeah. And you think there are cars, plenty of cars, Ike has many of them, that are 75-year-old galvanizing, and it's original, and it's still there, and it's not rusted, and it's amazing. It's amazing to think that there are discoveries that were built in the late 90s that are rusted to the point of nothing, that could be sitting right next to that Series 1 in the same condition for some reason. The Series 1s are just built out of a little bit sterner stuff, I think, but yeah, no, and it's great. So Conrad, on the topic of you obviously have had a cadre of different Land Rovers. It's something we like to ask people. Well, two-part question. First off is, of all the brands in the world, why is it that the Land Rover is the one, especially living on a small saltwater island in the middle of the English Channel, is the Land Rover the one that you've settled on to be certainly a collector and an advocate of?
It's a good question, and I have my father to thank for this. Mm-hmm. My father was a boat builder, in fact, and in the early 70s, he was a fiberglass engineer to begin with. That's what turned into boats. And in the beginning of the early 70s, one of the jobs that he did was to kit out one of the breweries over here with some big fiberglass vats for their brewing. And when he got the payment for that, he decided to sort of go and buy himself a car. And he went down to the showroom and saw the new Range Rover.
Right.
So 1970, 1971.
Yeah.
And he sort of thought, well, that will be good for my business.
Sure.
And it's sort of interesting nowadays that obviously it's sort of gone off on a tangent. So
you would never. No one has said that in the last 20 years, certainly of a Range Rover.
So my father bought this sort of white two-door Range Rover in 1970.
Fantastic.
And used it immediately to sort of tow boats and as was advertised at the time, use it for work during the day, swish it down and go out with it in the evening.
And that was in Jersey.
That was his business was in Jersey, but in fact, the year that he bought it, the year I was born, one of the first things he did was kit it out with two long-range tanks and kitted out the back in a sort of quite rudimentary sort of shelving system for camping, and we went on a trip around Europe.
Nice.
And again, you can't really imagine that someone buying a brand new Range Rover nowadays would think to do that.
No, exactly. You're not gonna buy your murdered out autobiography and then quickly drive around Europe, and it's unlikely.
So it was sort of that introduction as a young child to these cars, which had multi-functions that always caught my attention. So when I came to sort of get my first car, I was so keen to be a Land Rover. I put an advert in the paper over here saying wanted Land Rover, anything considered, please.
Yeah.
And a guy offered me the Series 1. And,
wow.
I picked it up at the time for something like £800.
Yeah.
And at that stage, Land Rovers were fairly disposable still. Certainly over here, people were using them to sort of tow boats and back into the sea, and they didn't quite have the kudos that they have nowadays, perhaps.
Nowadays, yeah. And what, if you could have, and you've had certainly many, so maybe this is one you currently have, but if you could have any Land Rover of from any time period, new, old, 2B forward controls, what would be the one, maybe, what's the one that you have that you sort of, you really love, you're never going to sell it? And what's one that you really want? Maybe if one came up, you would have to sort of have it.
The Series 1 is definitely a halo. A halo Land Rover, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I suppose it's a bit like the sort of Willys Jeeps. It's the granddaddy, really, isn't it? So that's the one that I'm sort of unlikely to ever sell. In terms of one that I like, Do you know what? I always quite fancied one of those 6-wheeler Range Rovers.
That, for sure.
Not the fire engine ones.
No, but the limousine one. I don't know if you Ivan and Dan at Rover Talk, but they just did an episode recently, and it reignited my desire to have like one of those wooden picket custom sort of thing. Like, they're so iconic, like
when I was sort of 10, 11, 12, my older brother was really into shooting, sort of competitive shooting.
Yeah.
And we used to get a subscription of some sort of shooting magazine at home. Yeah. And this would have been in the 80s, I suppose.
Yeah.
Which was the heyday for those conversions.
For those kind of conversions, yeah.
And it was amazing to think that a lot of these shooting competitions of the day would offer those 6-wheel Range Rovers as the prize.
Yeah.
So you win the trophy, and you get one of these conversions with it.
One of these conversions,
and they were just sort of eye candy to me as a child, just because they were so crazy,
What was the company that produced those?
Such an odd thing.
What was the company that produced those? Sandringham,
I think
maybe?
There was the one that you mentioned a moment ago.
Wooden Picket did the convertibles. I think they did. I don't know if they did a 6-wheel. They definitely did a limousine. What is the
Chrome did one as well?
And the fire engine conversion folks like Carmichael,
yeah.
They did a civilian,
the commercial ones,
yeah, and they did like a couple of like sort of more civilian oriented ones. But the Wooden Picket is my favorite only because the interiors were so like completely out of control. Like everything was sort of quilted in this sort of thing and wrapped in that, and there was extra gauges and things, and the convertible range. And they did a 4-door Range Rover before Land Rover did a 4-door
Land Rover,
with two front doors, so they had the side, the edge door handle on the front and back. Yeah, it's just they had some really cool, some really odd, wild sort of. There was one that just sold here recently in Los Angeles. It was a car that was here, a Wooden Picket convertible, and I think it went. I don't know. I'd have to look, but it went for a significant amount of $50,000.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Like a pretty good amount of money. I know it wasn't quite that much, but it was a good amount of money, and it was well preserved. It had the wrong wheels and some things like that, but nothing that was like way out of control, needed to be cleaned. But you don't see them that often, and so when you do, they're sort of like, oh, look at that. It would be quite.
It's the rarity. It's the rarity that appeals.
Yeah, and it's so evocative of a particular decade, that
in
car
Saudi
could
Arabia.
only exist in the 80s.
In the 80s in Saudi Arabia.
In the 80s in Saudi Arabia, that's exactly right.
But I'm sure it's the same in the US, but over here, there's sort of a whole generation of guys my age who are getting into the sort of pin-up cars they had on the walls in the 80s, and so there's sort of the 3 Series BMWs and the Peugeots, the GTIs and stuff like that. Boy racer cars, we'd call them.
Exactly. That is what will eventually lead me to owning a DeLorean.
Those are sort of the classics that people are after at the moment.
Yeah, that's right. And I joke about like that. That's what will lead me to a DeLorean. It's true. But you look at just the prices of those. Admittedly terrible cars, like the worst car, but they're
not a good time period for automobiles.
They're now selling for more than they were new, and they are dilapidated and whatever else. But I think you're exactly right, Connor. It's because there's a whole generation of individuals now who have wanted one forever. They have the disposable income to say, you know what? I'm gonna get that stupid car, and sites like Bring a Trailer and Cars and Bids and things US sites here, they sort of, I think they enable that crowd to a point of saying like, I just have to click here and I can get this thing that I wanted. And I think that's why you see you sort of see that, and there's nothing wrong with it. I've always wanted a Camel Trophy truck, and having a Camel Trophy truck, it is I've often said it's like my wife wanted to be an astronaut, and for a variety of reasons, not being a Canadian fighter pilot being one of them, wasn't able to do that. But for me, like I always wanted to compete in Camel Trophy. I couldn't. I'm Canadian, and we're not allowed. I was also not old enough.
You're not allowed. Why?
Not allowed. Didn't sell Camel cigarettes in Canada.
There was an incident. There was a court order.
We were asked not to join. Yeah, because we would have won every one. I think that's why it was.
I'm a Canadian too, Steve.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, my mother was born in Canada.
Excellent. Well,
they kept filling up the jerry cans with maple syrup.
That's exactly right. But anyways, but owning one now, I'm not going to go on a camel trophy with it. Obviously, that doesn't even exist anymore. But owning one, it's sort of like I joke with my wife. It's like having a space shuttle. Like, we're not going to take the thing into space, but it went there. There were astronauts sitting in those seats. We had
which camel truck are you?
I have a 93 Discovery, one of the vehicles that was on the 93-94 event, and then it went to France and was the French team's training vehicle for about 15 years. So
it went on its roof, I reckon.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure several times. I'd say no, but I'm pretty sure it didn't spend any time at the bottom of a river, which some of the other ones did. But
it's pretty nice.
It's a great car. Yeah, it's a great car, and it's been.
And what sort of condition is it?
It's good.
Yeah. I mean, it's in its event condition, so it looks as though it just sort of came off the last event that it did. The French team was really good about keeping it in decent shape. And,
to be fair, event condition, that's a spectrum.
Yeah, meaning that. Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm very lucky in that this one was a mechanics vehicle, and so they kept it in pretty good shape.
I was lucky enough last year to visit Bob Ives.
Oh yeah, of course.
He's obviously the
good friend of the show.
He's a very good friend of the show.
They're the only English people to work, weren't they? And we saw his 110,
his Defender,
on his farm in the UK. Yeah. And it's in that condition that you're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
Actually, when you get up close, it's quite scabby.
Yeah. Mine is certainly in the orbit of Bob's car. Nothing's been done to it.
The Discovery fared probably a little bit better.
A little bit better, and nothing's been done to it to fix anything, only to keep things from getting any worse. We're taking the museum approach to we're not gonna fix anything to the point of making it new. We're simply gonna stop it from getting any worse.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And I think when we spoke to Bob, he was actually in a bit of a quandary about whether to restore, how to stop that crustiness, because it persists even when it's stuck in the shed.
Well, and the funny thing is, on the event, so that they looked good in photos, and we talked to Nick Dimbleby about this, is they would use a paintbrush with sand glow paint, and if the truck got a good scrape or something on it, they'd just go over and they'd give it a brush, because from 5 feet away, you can't tell. The cars look great, and so Land Rover wanted to make sure that all the black and the sand glow, looked proper. And so they would literally have a can of paint and a brush, and you can see on the cars, it's amazing, where there are brush strokes on the car of sand glow where there was clearly they rubbed against a tree and ran into the panel, and maybe they'll beat it out. Probably they won't. They'll just brush it over with sand glow.
That's you wouldn't want to change that one.
No, you could never change that. I mean, that is so cool. What an insane thing to do. But at the time they were like, well, we're in the middle of the jungle. Like, what are you going to do? And I guess the spray paint wouldn't work, because you couldn't also shovel mud out of the way with the paintbrush a little bit. Like you can see, there's definitely there's jungle under that paint. I'm sure if it ever got scraped off, I could start some kind of biological disaster here by releasing whatever's trapped underneath it. So
it's true.
Yeah, I've seen it. We've got some stuff on that. But so let's talk a little bit about the Instagram phenomenon that is Island. First of all, we love your reels. I think there are a number of people, us included, that are sort of struggling with Instagram and how to sort of, if you're just sort of starting to get into it in your Land Rover. What are some things that you've found to be, since you are certainly a top tier Rover Instagrammer, what are some things that you've found to be really effective as of late to sort of, get people to see your stuff and get people engaged?
Reels is the thing. And to be honest, it felt a little uncomfortable for me. Mm-hmm. But part of the appeal of Instagram, for me, when I started it, was trying to sort of beat the algorithm.
Right.
I've got sort of quite an analytical approach to things, so I sort of take stuff like that quite seriously. Mm-hmm. So sort of posting at particular times of day and within certain time frames and stuff all helps. And at the moment, Reels are unfortunately the way to get reach on your account.
Right.
So Instagram, if you don't post Reels, Instagram will only show your posts to the people who follow you.
I see.
Whereas
if
you want to get your posts in front of people who don't follow you, you have to do Reels.
You have to do Reels. Oh, interesting.
And that's the sort of way to grow your account.
Maybe being a little more video native in my professional life, it seems that it's just the time that goes into making a good reel compared to posting a great photograph. It's sort of too bad.
It's crazy. It's something people who use Instagram a lot will often comment about this, especially professional photographers and the like. Is that stuff that you sort of sweat blood over, invariably falls by the wayside, and an impromptu sort of accident,
will have
go viral.
Well, it's funny. We did a reel with a belt that had broken off my air conditioner in the Defender, and for some reason that gets 750,000 views for no reason. I mean, it's just because it was accidentally posted at the right time, it's sort of it's interesting that I like the idea of gaming the system, though. I'm very much
the best thing you can do on Instagram is to post a lot.
Yeah.
And post what you're interested in.
Yeah.
It's the interest that always shines through at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's right. And I think we can, you can easily tell, Conrad, from the stuff that you do that you're very into it, and you love the cars, and you love the trips, and you love the restorations, and that comes through. Absolutely.
It's an affliction. That's what they always say, isn't it?
That's right. I would do something else if we could, but unfortunately, can't. This is just how it is. Yeah. It's
what started out as a hobby. I was actually I'm a prosecutor by training, and I sort of decided to put that on the side burner for a while to enjoy my hobby a bit more.
Mm-hmm. So step one, quit your job.
Step one, quit your job.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Copy. Yeah.
Step two, realize that you can't do a lot of the things that you want to do because you haven't got the mechanical skills to do so. So after that after that sort of realization, I've recently sort of got Miles involved in my account, who's a fantastic mechanic.
Mm-hmm.
So he can do all the things that I can't,
right?
And that enables me to still have free time to continue doing the things that I like doing as well. Because I think you can go down that rabbit hole of doing work on cars and forget to actually enjoy them.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes.
We talked a lot about the individual who buys a Land Rover and immediately takes it to pieces. And it's those restorations then that tend to linger because...
And then never puts it back together.
You've never driven the car, so you don't really know what you're missing. And I think that, we always sort of say, well, you should probably buy a car that even if it's ratty and whatever, that you can drive for a while and you can really, you can experience it. You can really kind of fall in love with the car.
This is exactly the advice we get. A young guy came around the other day to the shop and he sort of wants to ask some questions. And he had a TD5 Defender, which he picked up, and the chassis was a bit crusty. The bulkhead was a bit crusty. And he started sort of asking, do you think I need to replace these things? And we said, he must have been in his early 20s.
Yeah,
Enjoy it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because replacing, if you replace that corner of the bulkhead, you can be sure that a foot along, the metal's all going to be crusty underneath anyway, even if you can't see it now. You'll be doing exactly the same in pieces. You might as well enjoy it for a couple of years, enjoy it for 5 years or whatever.
Yeah.
And then when it really is needing to be done, do it then.
Yeah. I agree completely. And I think that you have a different level of enjoyment out of a car that is a bit crusty than you do out of something that you spent 900 hours restoring. Yeah. You don't.
The risk is you don't then drive it.
Yeah. Then it sits and it looks great and it's wonderful.
I had a friend over here who had a Series 1 and he runs a surf shop over here. He wanted to restore the Series 1 to use as a surf truck. By the time he got to the end of the restoration, which was done by a garage over here for him, it was so nice, he sort of refused to drive it and ended up having to buy another one to use as the truck in the shop.
Yeah.
So there is that risk. There's always that risk.
And they're not a vehicle like a particular vintage of Ferrari, or I was just at a gentleman's 600 motorcycle collection the other day where he had, 5 Ferrari motorcycles, each worth God knows how much each. It's not something like that, right? I mean, Series 1s are worth a lot of money. Sure, certainly they're selling for 150, 200,000 American dollars occasionally, but they're not a, $2-3 million collector car that needs to sit in, you're not going to, as long as you don't total it, you're not going to significantly increase or decrease the value by using the car. I think that's the joy of them, is to actually get out.
And that is the beauty of it. That is the beauty of it. Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, Conrad, I don't know how familiar you are with the world infamous Ike Goss lightning round. But Ike has painstakingly prepared a few very targeted, very personal, some would say very inappropriate questions for you in the lightning round format. So I will let Ike take that on, and good luck.
All right, Conrad.
Fire up the motor. I'm ready.
We've got a series of short questions, and the idea is some quick answers, so we get your your soul showing through.
Okay.
All right. Are you ready? Bronze green or Tangier's orange?
Oh, Tangier's orange.
Ooh, interesting. Leaf springs or coils?
Coils.
Oof. Soft top or hard top?
Soft top every time.
Good. Petrol or diesel?
Oh, petrol. Short
or long wheelbase?
Oh, short.
And what's the best way to get gear oil out of your underwear?
Don't wear underwear to begin with.
Perfect.
Yeah, excellent. Oh, yeah. Yeah, good choice. Good choice.
10 out of 10. Great success.
Yeah, well done.
Short wheelbase is a good choice for the island because the roads are very small.
Yeah.
And although I love my 110 for practicality of what you can do with it, it's a bit unwieldy on our roads, to be honest.
So what I'm getting from the answers is that you need to build another Land Rover that incorporates all of those features: a soft top, Tangier's orange, coil sprung.
Do you know what? I was toying with orange for the lightweight.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. Cool.
Maybe not as bright as Tangier's, but
but something in that ilk.
Faded Californian type of orange.
Yeah, I have a faded Californian Series 2 that's been painted orange a long, long time ago, and I have the body for it. And I keep thinking I need to put that together. It's got classic blue and yellow California plates. It just has the look.
That sounds like what I want to go for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll have to send you some pictures of it. It's a cool car for sure.
Color match it.
Yeah.
Very cool. Of course. Well, Conrad, what else? What have you got going on coming up on the channel? Where can people find out who they are that don't already know who you are? I don't know, but
the channel seems to be overrun with restoration stuff at the moment.
Yeah,
because the TD5 and the lightweight are both being done, and we're sort of up to our eyeballs in grease and gunk. What I'd love to do is to get off the island and do a trip. I know we were trying to organise a trip down to. Well, I was actually given a trip for my birthday in January. Mm-hmm. And it was going to be a trip to drive across the world's deepest lake. And the world's deepest lake is in Russia.
Lake Baikal, is that right?
And this trip was going to be in February of this year. Yeah. So unfortunately, that had to be canned fairly quickly.
Yeah.
I'm sort of quite desperate. We get a bit of cabin fever on the island,
right?
So we need to get off it now and again.
Well, you're welcome to come over, and we can arrange for untethered adventure here in the Great Wild West.
Got plenty of Series 1s for you to drive.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, Conrad, hey, thank you for your time. We appreciate it. Fantastic, and please come back. Let's
it's been a pleasure
chat again sometime soon.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Well, fantastic. I mean, man, what a I wonder, I forgot to ask him how many square feet of the total square footage of the island is taken up by his Land Rovers. It seems so small.
Most of it, 60%.
Yeah, for anyone to have more than one car there seems like you're taking up space.
There towards the end, he was kind of like, get me out of here. Save me. Small island life, those places are, they're insular, believe it or not. And,
funny how that is being surrounded by water,
Yeah, he probably knows everybody on the island. Everybody knows him. There's nothing. There's not any new cars to find. It's probably pretty tough to not occasionally get out, and especially during the pandemic when travel's restricted. He's ready. So
he's ready. He's ready to come
visit us. Yeah,
I really hope so. That'd be super fun. We'll put together a legendary underpowered hour trip. We have yet to kill Nick Dimbleby despite our best efforts. So
he's tough.
He is. He's a tough guy. And so we have a very special guest coming here in May that we're not gonna. It's a super secret, highly secret. Sneaking him into the country.
It's gonna be great.
Sneaking him back. Yeah. So that's gonna be great. Got some good stuff coming up there throughout the summer.
Stephen, you don't tell people that you're sneaking someone into the country.
No, I thought we're using those same guys that snuck that Fiat guy out of Japan, or rather snuck the Nissan guy out of Japan. We're gonna Carlos Ghosn him in and out. That's our plan.
Put him in a big piece of luggage. It'll be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. A nice road case. I like that they rolled that guy out in like a road case. Like anybody who's ever worked on like a tour or anything, done anything in like a concerts and stuff, always knows somebody who like goes to sleep in a road case and gets like rolled off the dock into a truck or something, as a joke. That happens all the time. Sure. They just used that, and took it one step farther.
That's how we're getting our guests into the country.
That's exactly right. That's that they all have to be done here. We don't quite know how the internet works, so we sneak them in here to avoid customs issues. So so we've got that stuff. Don't talk about that. We've got that stuff coming up. Some fun stuff going on this summer. We are going to do an AMA, sort of Ask Us Anything live event. I'm going to be up with Ike at Her Majesty's Pangolin 4x4 here coming up pretty soon. So look out on the socials and the things for more information about that. We're going to do that, and we'd love to have you guys come in with your questions, and we will answer them wrong on purpose as a joke. And so please come and join us for that. That'll be fun.
Stephen, do we have time today for the Nando's review?
Unfortunately, we didn't schedule the appropriate amount of time. We had actually the Nando's people fly over this time, and they've been staying at a travel lodge near the Eugene Airport for the past week in order to do this live. Unfortunately, we have ran out of time.
Yeah, we had to bump them.
It's too bad. We did get a photo from our good friend Jeremy Jeremy Hart outside of a Nando's. He emailed
Brilliant.
us. Yeah, it was great. It's great. So yeah, feel free if you find yourself outside of a Nando's and would like to send us a photo of that. We are happy to do that. Enjoy getting those, but yeah, maybe next week we'll have time for that Nando's review. So until then, Ike, good luck out there, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, Steven. See you on the trail.